You just missed a life-changing opportunity, and you don't even know it yet. Someone who once meant everything to you just turned around. And the weirdest part, the exact moment you're watching this was written in the stars long before you got here. Hey, Virgo. Let's get real. This isn't just another tarot reading, it's a wake-up call from the universe. Between July 14th and 20th, the energy around you is shifting fast. And it's not random. You're being invited to step into a version of life that finally fits the vision in your heart. The Emperor, the Queen of Swords, and the Devil. These cards are not here to play nice. They're showing you exactly what needs to happen. Claim your power, cut through the noise, and finally let go of the things that And this isn't about being perfect. It's about being honest with yourself. Because when you get real about what's no longer working, what you've outgrown, you open the door to everything you've been craving. Freedom, alignment, love, purpose, it's all waiting. But you gotta say yes to this next version of you. So if your life has felt like it's in limbo, that's not a coincidence. It's preparation. But here's the thing, you're still tethered. Between who you were and who you're becoming, something is pulling you back. Old habits, people, ideas you've outgrown. They used to make you feel safe. Now they feel heavy. The card. What do you need to release is more than a suggestion. It's your sign to finally let go. The future won't wait forever. And deep down, you already know what's holding you back. You don't need permission. You need clarity. And the moment you release what no longer fits, space opens for what does. Maybe it's a job, a relationship, or even just the old version of you that kept shrinking to fit into places that never truly saw you. That ends now. This week is your chance to unhook yourself from the cycle. If lately you've had a dream that keeps showing up, or a city that sparks something in you, or maybe just a conversation that stirred a part of you that's been asleep, drop that name in the comments. I'll help you decode what's calling you. Let's talk about release. Virgo, because without it, nothing moves. You can't step into your future if you're still dragging around emotional weight from the past, and your reading says something or someone is still quietly taking up space in your energy. Maybe it's subtle. A memory, a regret, a voice in your head that still whispers doubt. The Devil card showed up. And no, it's not evil. It's about attachment. The kind that once comforted you but now confines you. It could be a relationship, a habit, a belief like I've missed my chance. The Devil appears when something still has power over you, even if you know it's not helping anymore. Here's the tricky part. Sometimes we still like what's hurting us. It gave us something once: security, identity, distraction, but now it's costing too much. You can love something and still walk away when it stops loving you back. That's where the Queen of Swords comes in. She's the clarity, the line in the sand. She says, you see it now. No more pretending. And that's a powerful moment, because once you recognize the chain, you can choose to break it. Chains aren't always dramatic. Sometimes they're subtle, a job that drains you, a relationship that looks fine on the outside, or a version of you that keeps peace at the cost of your truth. But clarity is here, and clarity changes everything. You don't need a meltdown or a grand escape, just a choice, a boundary, a moment where you stop giving energy to what you've outgrown. That's how healing begins. Quiet, firm, honest. And here's the magic: when you let go, life rushes in. Energy you lost returns. The space you clear makes room for something real. So ask yourself, what am I still feeding that doesn't feed me back? Because Virgo, once you let it go, your power comes home. Now Virgo, let's talk about stepping up and owning your direction. This is not the time to second guess yourself or wait for permission. The Emperor energy in your reading is loud and clear. It's time to take the lead. And not just in some external way, like getting a promotion or making a big move. I mean internally. You have to become the CEO of your own life. You're not waiting around for signs anymore. You are the sign. The Emperor is all about structure, order, and intentional action. And let's be real, Virgo, if anyone can handle structure, it's you. But here's the twist, this isn't about controlling every little outcome. This is about using your wisdom to create boundaries and systems that support your freedom, not limit it. Because true power doesn't come from control, it comes from clarity. So ask yourself, where in your life have you been a passenger when you were meant to be in the driver's seat? Is it in your relationships, where maybe you've been shrinking a little to make someone else more comfortable? Is it in your work, where you're doing what's expected instead of what lights you up? Or is it in how you treat yourself, where you're holding yourself to impossible standards instead of giving yourself grace? You also pulled the 9 of Wands, which shows up when it's time to protect your energy, not defensively, but wisely. You've been through enough to know what drains you and what sustains you. And during Mercury retrograde, those blurry situations, the ones that confuse you, pull you off track, leave you feeling unsure, that's exactly where you need boundaries right now. If someone's presence leaves you mentally foggy or emotionally depleted, that's a no. Period. Think of it like emotional housekeeping. You can love people and still say, not today. You can want peace and still say, not at the cost of mine. Boundaries are not walls. They're bridges to a better version of you. They help you stay focused on your mission without constantly being pulled into other people's storms. And listen, you don't need to explain your boundaries to anyone who's committed to misunderstanding you. That's a waste of energy. The people who get it won't need a long conversation. And the ones who don't, they were probably benefiting from your lack of clarity. Let that sink in. This week is your green light to charge ahead with something you've been hesitating on. That project, that move, that change, it doesn't need to wait until the stars are perfect. The message here is start anyway. Take the messy action. Learn on the fly. You're not supposed to have it all figured out, but you are supposed to move. Think of this as your bull in a china shop moment. Yes, it might be intense. Yes, it might shake some things loose. But sometimes, that's exactly what needs to happen. You weren't born to tiptoe. You were born to lead with purpose. So here's your invitation. Virgo, don't wait to feel completely ready. Don't wait for others to validate your timing. Set your direction. Hold your boundaries. Move with power. And trust that whatever shifts as a result, it was never meant to stay. Let me give you a real example. I knew someone who kept waiting for the right moment to leave their job and start their own business. Every Mercury retrograde, they'd pause and tell themselves to wait just a little longer, to be safe. But guess what? That moment never came, not in the way they expected. One day, something clicked. They stopped waiting for things to be perfect and just took the first step. Was it messy? Yes. But did it shift their entire life trajectory? Absolutely. That's what taking aligned action looks like. It's not reckless, it's intentional. You're not throwing caution to the wind. You're saying, I trust myself enough to build while walking. And Virgo, you more than anyone have the discernment to know the difference between impulse and intuition. So don't let fear disguise itself as wisdom. Sometimes fear wears a very convincing mask. Right now, clarity loves movement. Not speed, not pressure, just forward motion. One honest step, one clear decision. That's all it takes to start something big. Let's talk about happiness. Virgo, not the fake, surface-level kind where you smile through discomfort, but real, soul-deep joy. The kind that lights you up from the inside and makes you feel like you're finally home within yourself. You pulled the Ace of Cups and Queen of Cups, two powerful reminders that your happiness matters, not in a selfish way, but in the most sacred way possible. See, Too often, you put yourself last. You check on everyone else's needs. Keep things together. Stay strong even when you're exhausted. But what about you? When was the last time you asked yourself what actually makes you feel alive? What brings you joy for no other reason than because it just does? The Ace of Cups is that overflowing energy of emotional abundance. It's the moment when something or someone brings you so much peace and contentment that it spills over into every area of your life. That could be a connection, sure, but more than that, it's a state of being. It's the energy of doing something and thinking, I could do this forever. It's walking outside and suddenly realizing you're smiling and you didn't even notice. Now pair that with the Queen of Cups, and we get something deeper. She's intuitive, compassionate, but most importantly, she knows how to hold space for her own emotions. She doesn't just give to others, she nurtures herself. So the message for you this week is simple: what fills your cup, not what looks good, not what sounds responsible, but what actually nourishes you. This might sound small, but it's not. Maybe it's painting again after years of putting away your brushes. Maybe it's getting out of town for a weekend, just because your spirit needs a change of scenery. Maybe it's waking up and not checking your phone for the first hour of the day. Whatever it is, if it makes you feel like yourself again, it's worth doing. And here's the tricky part: when you start choosing joy, people might not understand. They might say you're changing, you're pulling away, you're acting different. And guess what you are? That's the whole point, because you're no longer living for everyone else's expectations. You're coming back to your center. I've seen this so many times when someone finally stops trying to be the glue for everyone around them and starts becoming the foundation for themselves. The shift is magnetic. Opportunities start showing up. The right people enter. Life responds when you do. So here's what I want you to do. Virgo, write down 5 things that bring you joy. Not 5 things you're good at. Not 5 things that make money. 5 things that make you lose track of time. And then pick one. Do it this week. Even if just for an hour. Even if nobody else gets it. It's because when your cup is full, you don't just survive, you radiate. And the world doesn't need more people pushing through. It needs more people who are fully alive, fully lit up, and unafraid to shine. You have permission to prioritize your joy, not later. Now, let me tell you a quick story. I knew someone who worked a high-paying job that checked every box on paper. Prestige, stability, respect. But every morning, she felt heavy, drained before the day even began. It wasn't until she started spending her weekends hiking, being in nature, and painting again that she realized this is what joy feels like. That job wasn't the dream. Her joy was, within a year, she transitioned into a completely different life, less predictable. Yes, but infinitely more fulfilling. And that's what happens when you stop postponing joy. When you stop putting it in the someday folder. Because the life you want, it doesn't start when everything's figured out. It starts the moment you decide to honor what lights you up. You don't need anyone's approval to be happy. Virgo, you just need your own. All right, Virgo, let's get real about your dreams. And I'm not talking about the kind you shrink down to make more realistic, or the kind you keep in the back of your mind for someday. I mean the big, wild, borderline ridiculous ones, the ones that make your heart race and your logical brain roll its eyes. Those are the ones we're focusing on now. The energy around you is saying, go big. Neptune retrograde is giving you one last window to reconnect with the impossible dream. The one you maybe put on the shelf years ago. The one that felt too far out of reach, too impractical, or just too out there for your current life. But here's the truth. Even if you only get halfway or a quarter of the way toward that dream, you'll be living a life that feels 10 times more fulfilling than the one you're trying to force right now. Let's take the spider card from your reading. That spider doesn't chase the fly. It creates the web and trusts the process. That's what you're being asked to do. Build your web, weave it with care, create a structure around the life you want. This doesn't have to be complicated. It could be as simple as a 3-step process you follow every morning, a checklist, a vision board, a daily walk where you brainstorm ideas. Small actions add up when they're intentional. You don't need to go viral. You don't need 10,000 followers or $1 million investment. You just need a system that keeps you moving in the direction of your dream. And consistency beats intensity every time. The people who make the biggest impact are rarely the ones who sprint at the beginning. They're the ones who just keep going, quietly, steadily, intentionally. And yes, it might feel messy. It might feel awkward. The South Node in Virgo is encouraging you to release the need for perfection. You don't have to know all the steps. You just have to be brave enough to take the next one. You might feel foolish starting small, trying something new, or investing time in a dream that no one else understands. But the people who change the world, they all start exactly there. I once knew someone who always wanted to write a book, but she kept saying she needed the right computer, a quiet house, the perfect idea. Years passed. Nothing changed. One day she sat down with a dollar store notebook and wrote 2 pages. The next day she wrote 3. A year later her book was finished. No publisher, no deadlines, just persistence. That's what living the dream looks like, not glamorous, but real. So Virgo, here's your challenge. What's the dream that still keeps whispering to you? The one that won't go away? Take it seriously, even if no one else does, especially if no one else does. Write it down, then write down one thing, just one that you can do this week to start building toward it, because you're not here to play small. You're here to create something that only you can create. Something with your fingerprints, your energy, your soul woven into it. Don't wait for clarity to find you. Take action and let clarity catch up. And remember, the web doesn't get built overnight. But if you keep showing up, you will catch exactly what was meant for you. Virgo, let's talk about the journey, not the destination, not the results, but the process you're actually living through right now. So often, especially for someone like you who's detail-oriented and forward-thinking, it's easy to get locked into the idea of achieving something, reaching the goal, ticking the box. But what if the whole point isn't the goal? What if the magic is in the detour? You pulled the 2 of Wands, and that card is all about realizing there's more out there than what you've known. It's about expansion. But here's the catch. It's not just physical travel. This is mental, emotional, even spiritual exploration. The man in the card is looking out over the world, holding the globe in one hand. He thinks he knows everything, but the real breakthrough comes when he realizes how much more there is to see, to feel, to experience. Right now, you might be standing in a life that you once prayed for. You worked hard for stability, for consistency, and that's something to be proud of. But now, there's a quiet voice inside you asking, is this really it? Is this as far as I go? That's not ingratitude. That's growth. It's your soul nudging you to stretch, to reach for more, not out of lack, but out of deep potential. This is where so many people get stuck. They think because something is good, they have to stay because it's comfortable. It must be enough. But Virgo, you weren't built to settle. You were built to evolve. And evolving means giving yourself permission to leave the old storyline behind, even if it was once your dream. I remember a client who had a well-paying job and a solid routine. From the outside, everything looked perfect. But inside, she was restless. She kept saying, I feel like I'm meant for something else, but I don't know what. The moment she allowed herself to explore without needing all the answers, her life opened up. Not instantly, not neatly, but beautifully. She moved across the country, made new friends, started a creative project that brought her back to life. That's the kind of courage this card is calling you into. You don't have to burn everything down. You just have to say yes to your own curiosity. Yes to discovering a new part of yourself. Yes to leaving behind the script and writing something original. And if it scares you a little good, that means it matters. So take the class, book the trip, go to the event where you don't know anyone, start the conversation, say yes before you're ready. Because who you become in the process is the actual reward. The goal was never the end. The goal was always the becoming. You're not lost, Virgo. You're just in the part of the story where the map gets redrawn. And let's not forget, every time you step into unknown territory, you expand your emotional and energetic capacity. That discomfort you feel, it's growth in disguise. You're building resilience, courage, adaptability, all the things you can't learn from staying in the same place. And over time, those small, brave choices compound into a life that feels fully lived, not just survived. Even if the next step feels uncertain, even if it doesn't immediately make sense on paper, trust your inner compass. It knows what fulfillment feels like. Let that guide you more than logic alone. Because when you give yourself permission to explore, you're not abandoning what you've built. You're honoring who you're becoming. Virgo, let's talk about the kind of connection that doesn't just spark, you feel it in your chest, your gut, your entire nervous system. The Two of Cups in your reading, that's soul recognition. The Hierophant, that's depth. This isn't just someone you flirt with. This is someone who sees you fully and mirrors back growth, not drama. Now here's the twist: this person might not be your type. And that's a good thing. Sometimes the people who feel most right aren't who we pictured, but they're who we need. You're not looking for validation. You're ready for resonance. This kind of partnership isn't about completing each other. It's two whole people choosing to walk a path together with respect, with alignment, with space to breathe. Whether it's romantic, business, or a creative partnership, this connection will require you to stay rooted in your truth. It's not about performance. It's about presence. You don't have to chase it. You just have to stay open enough to let it in. That's real love, Virgo, and it's coming closer. Now let's talk about receiving, Virgo. You pulled the Magician, Ace of Cups, and 10 of Cups. That's the universe saying you've asked for it and it's here. But receiving isn't passive. It's a conscious choice to believe you're worthy of what you've prayed for. The Magician reminds you you've already got the tools. No more waiting until you're ready. You are ready. You've done the healing. You've stayed the course. Now it's time to receive, not just with your mind, but with your heart. The Ace of Cups is about overflow, love, peace, emotional renewal, and the 10 of Cups. That's long-term joy. The blessing isn't a fleeting moment. It's a new baseline for how life can feel when you stop bracing for the worst and start expecting the best. So, Virgo, breathe it in, let it feel real. Say yes. You're not chasing anymore. You're aligning, and that changes everything. This is the part where everything clicks. Virgo, all that inner work, all the letting go, all the times you said no to what drained you and yes to what stretched you, it's finally adding up. There's a moment coming where you'll feel it, almost like a quiet thunder in your soul. It won't be dramatic, but it'll be undeniable. That realization that you no longer live in reaction to your past. You're not proving anything to anyone. You're just becoming. And when that moment hits, it changes everything. You stop waiting. You stop negotiating your worth. You stop shrinking to fit in. You rise not because you want to be seen, but because you're ready to lead your own life from the inside out. This is your emergence. Quiet, powerful, unstoppable. So, What's the real message here? It's that you're no longer chasing alignment, you're stepping into it. This week, your power lies in choices, big or small. Every decision is an opportunity to show the universe what you're ready for. That new career move, that healthier routine, that bold truth you've been scared to admit out loud. This isn't about perfection. It's about showing up for your own evolution. You've tasted what doesn't nourish you. You've been stretched by false starts. But now, your clarity is your strength. You don't need a map, you just need movement. Even small action creates momentum. And when you move in the direction of your joy, things start clicking. Life gets easier, people respond differently. Your energy speaks before you do, so if it feels aligned, trust it. If it feels off, don't explain, just exit. And if you're still listening, Virgo, that means this message found the right heart. So here's what I want you to do. Comment below with the exact time you saw this message. It's not random. That number might hold meaning for you. Then write this in the comments: I choose alignment. Because the moment you declare it, you start attracting it. If something popped into your mind, a name, a symbol, a place, don't ignore it. That's the universe pointing you to your next clue. You're not alone in this. You're being guided, nudged, and prepared for something bigger. But here's the catch. The universe meets you at the level of your action. So take one step today, just one. Say yes to what excites you. Say no to what drains you. And watch how fast your life starts moving in the direction of the version of you that you've always been becoming.